It's that time again. Election season is upon us. And so you have all the whores popping out, working to push their master's propaganda. Gone are the days when a man or a woman has to do something derogatory with their bodies for quick cash. Now you can just get a quick check by spewing all kinds of garbage propaganda to try and trick the masses into doing what your bosses want. Alright, that may have been a bit harsh, but I am genuinely enraged by the actors I see posing as news anchors or talk show hosts, just pushing complete trash for money. I am just as disgusted with people like that as I am by a person who debases themselves sexually for cash. So let's get down to it. Once again, the presidential election has reared its ugly head, and so the wealthy are working to push their candidates. Normally, the candidates just flat out lie to the people who they're trying to solicit a vote from. They pretend to be on their side and promise to do everything they're asked if they're just put into office. But when it comes to black people, specifically black men, they do something a little different. The jealousy, hatred, and disdain that they have for black men is so great that they don't bother doing any of that other stuff. They just tell us that we need to do what they want and vote them into power. They won't be doing anything for us, and they'll continue to target us for extermination, but we still have to vote them into power. And if we don't, then it's because we're idiots. Wow. So what sparked my desire to make this video? Well, recently I saw one of those whores I was talking about earlier insisting that black men aren't going to vote the way they want. She insisted that black women will make us black men vote for Joe Biden.
Like 81% of black men, 81% are in the Democratic Party. So I don't want to hear anymore that black men are voting for Trump. Black women resoundingly will show up for Biden, and they're going to bring their sons, they're going to bring their grandsons, they're going to bring their husbands, and the black vote will turn out for President Biden.
Sonny, that's a reference.
Holy crap. Is that really how it works? Do people really think that black men are children who are led by their women? I don't think so. What you're witnessing here is this, actually. Wealthy white men and women write up scripts, and then they pay their whores to read the scripts and play a role. It's their way of trying to control the masses. If you push a narrative enough, then people should just fall in line with that narrative. And according to this narrative, black men will follow behind their women and just do whatever the women demand. Wowzer. So instead of finding out what black men want and working to try and convince them to vote, the wealthy are just going to pay their actors to try and force something. And in all honesty, what's really happening is another pandering technique. The wealthy aren't pushing this message to get black men to vote. That's really not what this is about. They're actually hoping that black women are stupid enough to feel proud of this message and to keep voting. Let me actually translate this propaganda for you so you know exactly what message the wealthy are trying to send. And here we go. Black women, we know you're becoming jaded because you've spent decades voting Democrat, and time after time, we've proven to you that we're not on your side because we ignore your needs, we don't give you the things that you've asked for, and we're constantly working to destabilize and destroy you and your community. But we want you to know that we think you're strong, smart, and independent. You're not like those dumb black males. You're better and important. So remember us this election season. Vote for us again, and make sure we stay in power. Of course, we're not going to do anything that you need, and we'll continue ignoring you, targeting you, and harming you, but we will always continue to say things that make you feel good. That's basically what this message translates to. The wealthy know that us black men aren't going to vote. We know better. So they're going to do what they've done to the white masses for centuries. They're going to try the divide and conquer technique and try to convince everyone else that they need to do the opposite of what those dumb, inferior black men are doing. They need to keep voting and keep propping up this empty system. Now, all of this would be comical if not for one thing. The people pushing this message are purposely trying to convince a group of people to not only do the wrong thing, but also to do something that they know will seriously hurt them and the ones they love. Last time I checked, Joe Biden was one of the biggest anti-black racists in politics. In order to enrich other white people, Joe Biden wrote and pushed a bill that he knew would target poor blacks in this country. Let's really try to get people to understand this. Joe Biden literally worked to destroy black society in this country by writing a bill that he knew would target black people suffering from a drug epidemic. When black people were going through their drug epidemic, Joe Biden spoke like this.
Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale.
Fast forward to today, when you have a large portion of white society suffering through their drug epidemic, and this is how Biden is speaking now.
The CDC estimates that 88,000 Americans were lost to an overdose between August 2019 and August 2020, a 27% increase in the previous year, driven in part by rising isolation and financial insecurity. We need to meet this crisis with urgent action. The American Rescue Plan I signed into law provides $4 billion to support mental health and substance abuse disorder care. It includes $1.5 billion for prevention and treatment, of more than $400 million to support community behavioral health clinics. And that's just the start. My administration is committed to expanding access to treatment, supporting proven prevention and recovery efforts, and reducing the supply of illicit substances coming into the United States.
So when black people are suffering, we're predators and we need to be stopped, punished, and controlled. But when white people are suffering, they need treatment and programs to help them. And you want black women to vote for him? In the 1970s, when Joe Biden was talking about integrating black children into schools with white children, he said, and I quote, "Unless we do something about this, my children are going to grow up in a jungle." The jungle being a racial jungle with tensions having built so high that this is going to explode at some point. We have to make some moves on this. Did you hear all that? Biden compared white children having to go to school with black children as them growing up in a jungle. Are you seriously telling me that black women are expected to vote for this racist animal? Seriously? Let's talk about some other very important things. We're being told that Joe Biden is a great leader. We should put him into a position of power. But let's look at Biden's household. 2 of the 4 children that Biden fathered have had run-ins with the law. His daughter, Ashley Biden, was arrested twice. Once for drug possession and another time for obstructing a police officer. She was also caught drinking illegally when she was younger. His son, Hunter Biden, well, he's become very famous for his criminality, from his constant drug and alcohol abuse, which has led to him being sent to multiple substance abuse rehabilitation programs, to his potential violations of tax and money laundering laws. A lot of criminality. People may think that I'm just being petty by going over this stuff, but you're asking people to put this man into one of the biggest positions of leadership for a second time. And this man can't even lead his own family. Let's say your child had a school friend whose father was a racist and a bigot, and whose father wasn't able to control his own children. His children were running amok, running wild, doing all kinds of bad things. If your child came home and asked for permission to go over to this friend's house, what would you say? Of course, you'd say no, right? You wouldn't feel safe leaving your child in the care of someone like that, right? So why put someone like that into the role of president? Last thing, we are literally living through an act of genocide right now. Children, babies, women, and innocent men are literally being murdered right now as you're listening to this. And who's facilitating this? Joe Biden. The man who we're being told needs to run this country is literally helping to murder babies right now. Murder. Is that clear enough for you? Instead of using your tax dollars to build affordable homes, or to build up our infrastructure, or to repair many of our crumbling cities, or to fix the issue of homelessness that we're facing, or to hand out stimulus checks to the citizens who are actually the ones who paid into this tax system, or instead of feeding starving children around the world, I mean, this guy could be doing anything with the money. Instead of doing any of that stuff, this man said, what we really need to do with this money is murder small defenseless babies in third world countries.
Well, now to the latest in the Middle East, where Israel is pushing further into Rafah.
Yeah, that's right. This comes as the Biden administration is reportedly sending even more aid to Israel, just after President Joe Biden said that they may not be doing that last week.
And this isn't a joke. This is literally what's going on right now. Literally, just think about it in your head. Babies are dying right now thanks to Joe Biden, thanks to his leadership and the decisions that he's made. And we're being told that we need to vote for this disgusting, pathetic joke of a human being. That's why I call anyone who's pushing for a vote for Joe Biden a whore, because you're debasing yourself by working to put an animal into a position of power where he can continue doing the demonic things that he's been doing for more than half a century, and you're pushing for this man just for a paycheck, like a whore. Well, to all the propagandists out there, stop wasting your breath. Black men, we're not going to be voting for this piece of trash. We're not going to be putting him into power for another term. If this animal does get back into power and continues robbing the citizens of this country and murdering children, well, it won't be black men's fault. It will be thanks to all those idiots out there who vote as if this is a game, who vote like it's a contest or a sport. It will be thanks to all the dumb sheep out there who blindly follow along with this stupid game and put animals into positions of power. If you really want to get some change, don't waste your time voting. Biden is a demonic, racist animal. And the alternative, Trump, is a pathetic failure, loser, racist, and imbecile who squandered a fortune that his daddy handed to him. So, no real black men will be voting at all. We'll be doing what we've done since the 60s and working to force righteous change. We'll be forcing change by shutting this country's economic system down. And we'll be doing that by not spending money with the big businesses in this country. We're going to start a boycott, and it's going to spread, and we're going to shut down the economic system. And when the wealthy do the inevitable and start begging us to get back out there and share our money with them so we can open up the economy to help finance them, then we'll give them our list of demands. And those demands will be for equality and for justice. The same things that men like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Fred Hampton tried to push before they were executed.